Hello, Taurus, and welcome to your May 2026 monthly horoscope. My name is Justyna. Welcome. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and thank you for joining me today. So here today, we are going to look at what's happening in May this year. And here I follow Western astrology tropical zodiac, so welcome. All right, so here, as we begin May, we are still in Taurus season. So whenever the sun is transiting our first house or our sun sign, if you're watching it for your sun sign, we feel more alive. The sun gives us energy, vitality, so we feel like we want to be more out there. And generally, it's a very energizing time. Now, however, we start this month on a really intense note. And the reason for that is because there's a full moon in Scorpio happening on the very, very 1st of May. All right, so full moons bring culminations, turning points, a time to let go or release of what doesn't serve us. So here, this full moon is happening at 11 degrees of Scorpio. So first of all, let's break it down. The moon is in its fall in Scorpio. So first of all, it's a very uncomfortable placement for the moon. This is happening in your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, unions, contracts you have with other people. So here, the dispositor of the ruler, if you will, of this full moon, the modern one, is Pluto, and this full moon and Pluto connect by a wide square. Now, we take this square into consideration because Pluto is a very, very slow-moving planet. And here there is that connection between Taurus and Scorpio and Aquarius. And it brings, of course, in this case scenario, of course, and it brings a square. All right, so fixed energies, of course, which you are very familiar with being a Taurus. Fixed energies, stubborn and often resistant to change. But it can be very, very determined once you get something off the ground. So here, this is happening in your 7th house. This energy brings sustainable, lasting results, but at the same time, it brings complexity as per Scorpio energy, which is connected to intensity, and it's also connected to anything that's of a transformational nature. We've got the house of relationships, contracts, unions, the other generally being activated. So generally the full moon here brings something here to light. Remember, during a full moon, whatever has been hidden is brought up to the surface. The moon is fully illuminated in the sky. It heightens our awareness, our intuition as well. So this could indicate a possible realization about an important relationship in your life. This full moon could also bring more awareness in terms of what is actually happening in these one-to-one dynamics in your life. Something that perhaps has been overlooked, avoided, now might become very, very prominent. Now, at the same time, it could be about a situation with another person close to your heart, reaching a turning point. Remember, it's not just your sweetheart or your husband or your boyfriend. It could also be a very, very close friend or a client, a business partner, your landlord, for instance. So this will depend on your circumstances. It's about the other, but there needs to be some strong connection or a contract. All right, so here we've got also, of course, the square to Pluto in the 10th house of career, public life, public reputation. So this is also connected to your career direction. The energy of this full moon influences your career direction, which could also be connected to a change of direction, your career direction, maybe something to do with your path, your career professional path overall. Maybe you might realize that your relationship is influencing your direction. Or perhaps it could be that your direction is putting a lot of pressure on your relationship. So this will, of course, depend on your circumstances. Now, to add to it, we also have a Mercury and Chiron conjunction happening in your 12th house, which doesn't help that Mercury is in the 12th house because this also indicates that there is a lot going on in your mind. a lot going on through your head. It's not always easy to articulate our thoughts when Mercury is in our 12th house. Our inner world, our inner mind, our mind overall is very, very rich full of ideas, but it's not always easy to articulate them. Now with Chiron, of course, also, this is happening at 27 degrees of Aries. This could also indicate that internal awareness, internal thoughts going through your mind, something that perhaps you are processing on your own, something that needs healing as well. Maybe this could be about some kind of realization that you haven't yet had the chance to express. Now on May the 3rd, Mercury enters Taurus. So here with Mercury entering Taurus on May the 3rd, it's a very, very fast transit, to be honest, as well, because on the 17th, which is 2 weeks after, Mercury will enter Gemini, which is actually quite interesting because Taurus is a slow energy. It's not a fast energy. It's a fixed sign, but Mercury will be speeding through this sign. And this is often the case when Mercury, it's after its retrograde phase, after the post-retrograde phase, shadow phase as well. It regains its speed and it's moving very, very, very fast. So this is happening in your first house, which is absolutely fantastic because after about more or less 3 weeks of Mercury in your 12th house, you are now going to have Mercury moving into your first house. So this is when your focus, because remember, Mercury is about your thinking processes, your mind, anything to do with communication. Mercury is the planet of communication, of our thinking, of our mind. So when Mercury moves into our first house, this indicates that our thinking is kind of redirected. So while the 12th house brought the need to perhaps to think things through, and there was a lot of internal energy activated, and perhaps you had the need to keep more things than usual to yourself. Here, this isn't the case with Mercury in the first house. With Mercury in the first house, very often it's difficult to stop, to stop talking and to know when to stop, especially when it comes to self-expression. When it comes to sharing, there's a tendency to sometimes, so something to watch out for. But overall, with Mercury in the first house, there's a need to share, to express your thoughts, to express your ideas, to communicate your problems even, to what's on your mind. But at the same time, with Mercury in the first house, you might be also thinking about what feels right to you at this point in your life. Now, on May the 6th, Pluto, the planet of transformation, regeneration, will turn direct at 5 degrees of Aquarius in your 10th house. So as you can see, these first weeks of May are very, very tense. We start with a full moon in Scorpio. Then we've got, of course, Mercury and Chiron conjunction, which is also quite complex. And then Pluto turning retrograde. So the retrograde energy, it's very internal. So it's happening in your 10th house. So this is connected to a more profound reassessment of your career direction, of your life, of your professional life path, of your public identity. Overall, this energy could make you question whether your current path is sustainable or whether something needs to change. Now, on May the 16th, we've got a new moon happening in Taurus. So here, the moon in Taurus is very comfortable. This is the sign of its exaltation. So a very strong and comfortable placement for the moon. So this is like a reset for you. This is your important new moon of 2026. It happens every single year and it feels very rejuvenating because it's in your first house of the self. And it's about you, about your goals, about your direction. But at the same time, you are starting a new cycle with this new moon. So this new moon is in your first house, and this is a chance to focus on your own goals. It's about your ideas, about the direction that you're heading. So new moons are great for setting intentions. The moon is dark at the time, so we don't yet have a full idea or clarity where this idea or goal or this intention will take us. But it's a good time for taking notes, for writing things down, and see where this new chapter will take you, especially since Uranus is now out of your first house and it's now in your second house of money, income, resources, possessions. We had so many shifts so far. Jupiter is still in Cancer, but soon it will be in Leo. We still have a solar eclipse in Leo to come, and the nodes will shift in July as well to your Leo and Aquarius houses, which is your career houses and your home and your area of family as well. So there's still a lot to take place this year, and it's still ahead of us. So definitely take this new moon to process your feelings, process your emotions, write things down, create a vision board if this is what you feel like doing. On the 18th, we've got Mars, the planet of drive, action, motivation, moving into Taurus. So here, while Mars in Aries was very fast, impatient, dynamic, Mars in Taurus brings a very different dynamic, very different energy. This is the kind of energy that is very determined, sustainable, but not too fast. So here, this isn't the kind of energy that we should rush. It's your first house, so it will definitely make you feel more alive and eager to take action, to move forward with some interesting goals, especially after the new moon in Taurus. This is a very motivating energy. The new moon in Taurus is happening at 25 degrees. I didn't mention that. So here, with Mars entering Taurus, Mars will activate this energy. But overall, this is a very action-oriented energy, and it can increase your sense of confidence, sense of self-assertion as well. It can bring more energy, more motivation, more courage as well. And then perhaps the need to move forward, to take action, to take initiative. But in Taurus, remember, this energy is steady. It moves in a steady way. It has a chance to create lasting, sustainable outcomes and results. Anything that's rushed, it will feel frustrating. Keep this in mind because Taurus doesn't like to be rushed. All right, so you should know that as well. Of course, you're Taurus rising. Right, so on May the 19th, Venus enters Cancer. That's your third house of communication, movement, news, action, short distance travel, social interactions, studying, short courses, your siblings. So it's a beautiful, beautiful energy. It's like comfortable, loving, caring, nurturing energy. I would love to have this as my natal placement. Actually, it's a beautiful, beautiful energy. Not that I don't like my Venus placement. It's in Gemini, but Venus in Cancer is really a nice harmonious energy, especially here after the intensity you will have experienced in the initial days of May. So with Venus in the third house, this is energy brings more harmony, more balance into your communication style. This can generally be a very social month overall, the second part of May and the initial days of June. Yes, Venus in Cancer likes hanging around others. It's a very sociable, friendly, warm energy. And it's great for emotional connections, especially connections that bring emotional stability or harmony, connections with people with whom you've got that emotional balance overall. But at the same time, with Venus here, it's a good time for writing. If you enjoy blogging, writing overall, it's a good time for generally, this energy really, really brings a lot of positive energy into your communication style. It's a good time for visiting beautiful places. With Venus in Cancer, family perhaps gatherings, or perhaps you might be reconnecting with your siblings, next of kin. So it's a very supportive energy overall. Now, here on May the 21st, we start the Gemini season, and then on the 21st, the Sun conjoins with Uranus. So really interesting energy happening in your second house. So here, Gemini season is centered around your area of money, financial stability, security, and overall money is on your mind. But here overall with the Sun and Uranus conjunction here happening on the 22nd and the 21st, the Sun enters Gemini on the 22nd at 1 degree of Gemini. So this energy could bring some, depending, of course, on your situation, on your life, on your life story, on your circumstances. But overall, this energy could bring some sudden opportunities, financial opportunities, perhaps some unexpected changes to your income, maybe a gift, an unexpected gift, or perhaps an unexpected purchase. Since it's happening in your second house, be mindful of your spendings, of your perhaps tastes during this time, especially when it comes to money spending habits, because this energy could bring perhaps some kind of sudden need for or desire for a physical object, that you might not really need. So definitely be conscious of your spendings on this day. But at the same time, also monitor your ideas, take notes of your ideas, because you might come up with some really brilliant ideas here when it comes to money. Definitely keep it in mind, because it's a very quick and sudden energy that requires flexibility, adaptability as well. All right, so we end the month with a full moon. So we started with a full moon, we end with a full moon. We end with a full moon happening in the sign of Sagittarius, and this is happening at 9 degrees of Sagittarius. So here, Sagittarius is a fire mutable sign. So as you can see, the second part of May, there is a lot of mutable energy, of course, with the Sun in Gemini and the full moon as well, and the Sun and Uranus conjunction. So we've got a mix of energies, but of course, here we've got lots of activity happening, short-lasting energy happening in the mutable signs, which are generally signs associated with flexible, adaptable energy. But here with a full moon, which is connected to turning point culminations happening in your 8th house, this energy could bring the much needed clarity, awareness, especially about some important financial matters in your life, emotional attachments, maybe something to do with shared and joint resources, businesses, mortgage, loans, debt. It's a good time for letting go of what no longer serves you, especially when it comes to some emotional, financial attachments, entanglements. At the same time, with a full moon here, you might become aware of something of a very deep, profound nature, something that perhaps you overlooked in the past, something you were unaware of. Remember, the 8th house is the house of transformation, regeneration. This is a great time for also going on a detox. And perhaps even if it's connected to cleansing yourself or having like a really nice bath with salt, or perhaps if you enjoy crystals, put them out. It's a good time for really purifying yourself, your body, your soul, and so that you can emerge feeling much more rejuvenated and empowered. Thank you so much, Taurus. I wish you a wonderful month ahead, and until the next time, bye for now.